Hello and welcome to Newswire. I'm Sneha Kulkarni, and we begin with continuing coverage of a developing story in Ottawa. A deadly rush hour tragedy on a busy transit route has claimed 6 lives. More than 24 are in hospital, and this is the worst transit crash in Ottawa's history.
We join all members of Council in expressing our deepest condolences to all those who were affected by this terrible tragedy.
This is the devastating scene. An Ottawa City bus headed north on a transitway crashed into a Via Rail train headed to Toronto this morning. It happened at a rail crossing during the busy morning rush hour just before 9 a.m. Right now, we know 6 people are dead. More than 24 on the bus were injured. Many were taken to hospital with critical injuries. Stunned passengers were led from the scene by police a short time ago. Right now, though, a number of investigative crews are on the scene. What you're looking at right now is a live chopper shot from our sister station, TVA. The rail line is now shut down for investigation. We have team coverage of this disaster, and we begin with Jessica Hume. She is live at the scene for us right now and joins us now. And Jessica, we are hearing some alarming stories from passengers who say they were actually screaming for the bus driver to stop the bus. So what do we know about what happened here?
Yes, pretty shocking stories coming from some of the people on that bus. I've just spoken with a man. His name is Greg Meck. He was on that bus. He was on the upper level, and the way he described it, the road that bus was traveling along before it met with the train tracks, there was a curve in the road. This man says that the bus turned the corner. It was going pretty quickly, and he could see clearly that the guardrail guarding those tracks was down. The lights were flashing. And he just, in his moment commuting, he just assumed that the driver would slow down. Only moments later, though, he said passengers got out of their seats and started yelling, screaming at the driver to slow down. It's not clear whether, the brakes didn't work or exactly what happened. But, as we know, there was a rather tragic ending. The bus did not stop in time. So we've heard that there were bodies flying around the bus at the moment of collision. I've said on the air earlier today that many of these witnesses, when they actually got out of the bus, they were talking about seeing bodies, all around. Some were moving, some were not, seeing body parts. So a very, very gruesome and shocking scene over here right now.
Oh, absolutely. And this is supposed to be a routine trip for so many in Ottawa. This is a very commonly used route, a very busy area for transit. So just give me a sense, Jessica, you're at the scene right now. What's happening there? What's the activity like now?
Well, police, ambulances, fire department, they've all been on the scene all morning. And earlier we saw them really seem to focus on the train. They were looking at particularly that first car that is completely off the tracks. But they since seem to have moved on, focusing more on the bus now. So we did just get an update from a spokesman for the Transport Safety Board. He explained that the order of business for them is to get their hands on what's called an event recorder, and this is awfully similar to the black box that we hear about in airplanes. So they were a little vague on the details of what this recorder what information it actually records, but they're going to be looking through both the train and the bus very thoroughly. Did the brakes work? Did other mechanisms work? Was there any kind of technical failure? After they've examined these vehicles, they're going to move on to compare this train and this bus with others that have not found themselves in a crash situation. Now, one other thing that has come up today that I think we will likely hear more about as the story develops is the whole issue of safety surrounding these rail crossings. We know, for example, municipal buses are not required to stop at these crossings. We also know that the Transport Safety Board itself had considered either an overpass or an underpass at this exact crossing for safety reasons. We know that that idea, there wasn't any follow-through because studies found that the soil quality at this particular crossing was not good enough to sustain an overpass or an underpass. But we did get an update on this point from the TSB, and they said that they are going to perhaps look into reopening that question of how do we make this safer. He also said they're considering perhaps widening some of these railway things. I mean, not to belabor the point, but, to look at the crash site, this bus, the front of it, which is completely torn off, is over the train tracks. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a lot of give, in terms of brakes to say, not working as well as they should. So I think in terms of safety, that's what we're going to be hearing a lot about. I know we've confirmed that the bus driver is among the dead. One of the things that many witnesses have, seem to be asking themselves is, what was that driver thinking? So, unfortunately, he is deceased, so we won't be able to ask him those questions. But I think for a lot of witnesses, they're wondering why he seemed to speed into this railway crossing when the lights were clearly flashing.
Absolutely, that is the big question, and certainly that is what investigators will be focusing on, why this bus actually did cross that rail crossing. At this point, though, Jessica, as we know, there are a number of people in hospital. A lot of families are still trying to get in touch with their loved ones. So what do we know about where they can go to get information?
Well, the City of Ottawa has established a phone line. I don't have the number right in front of me, but there is where anyone can call if they're looking for friends or family who may have been on that bus or that train. I know that alternatively, the City of Ottawa, it's 311. For anyone making that call locally, they can call the 311 municipal number and be given an update, both in terms of the bigger picture and also in terms of friends and family. Yes, it does look like all the surviving members of this crash have been removed from the scene, taken to hospital. Sadly to say, there are still some bodies here on the scene, but they are covered in tarp.
All right. Well, Jessica, I know you are going to continue to stay on the scene for us, provide us more updates as the day goes along. So thank you so much for joining us now.
Thank you, Sneha.
Thank you. That is Jessica Hume reporting live from the scene in Ottawa. Now, this deadly bus and train collision is rocking the City of Ottawa. Flags are at half-mast today, and just a short time ago, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson spoke with the media about the tragedy.
We join all members of Council in expressing our deepest condolences to all those who are affected by this terrible tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers are with those who have lost loved ones, who have been injured, or who have loved ones who have been injured. We've asked that city flags be immediately placed at half-mast to signal the City of Ottawa's sadness for this tragic loss of life. A book of condolences will be available beginning at 12 noon at Jean Piggott Place, Ottawa City Hall, for members of the public to express their condolences to those who have lost loved ones. A number of agencies will be looking into what transpired this morning, including the Ottawa Police, the Transportation Safety Board, and the coroner. Our focus as a city today is to care for those families who have lost a loved one, as well as to ensure we provide the best possible care for those who have been injured and affected by this accident.
We also have more information now on the post that Ottawa Police have set up to update people worried about their loved ones involved in this fatal crash. Now, if you are in Ottawa and you need information on the victims or the passengers on this bus, you can go to the Nepean Sportsplex. That's where police have set up their command center, and that is at 1701 Woodruff Avenue in Ottawa. Officers are on hand and will be able to update you on the status of those passengers affected. As for the phone number, you can also call 613-580-2400 for details. That number is on the bottom of our screen. Now, Anthony DeMonte, the chief of the Ottawa Paramedic Service, also spoke to the media about the victims of the horrific crash between a Via train and a city bus. Here's what he had to say.
In total, there were 31 patients transported from the scene to the area hospitals. 11 of those patients were considered in critical condition. The distribution, 4 were transported to the Queensway Carleton, 4 to the Civic campus of the Ottawa Hospital, 6 to the general campus of the Ottawa Hospital, and 17 to the Montfort. And that seems like a big number for one institution, but they were the less critical patients. That was done purposely to spread the patients amongst our institutions so appropriate care could be given, and they were transported in an OC Transpo bus with paramedics on board. Tragically, I have to report that at the scene, paramedics had to declare 5 persons deceased on scene. Nothing could be done. And of the 31 that were transported, we've just been advised that 1 is now deceased in hospital for a total of 6 deaths at this point.
Now, as we speak, the investigators with the Transportation Safety Board are on the scene of this crash right now. An extensive team has been formed to try and piece together what happened.
We have deployed a team of several investigators out here. We have people from our engineering branch, we have people from our human factors, and we have numerous technical investigators, and we have more coming for support. Right now, very early, but we're assessing the situation and determine how we're going to proceed and what we're going to do next.